And as I got closer, I realized, what it was is it was Lee and Eric in the road. And so I'm like, what is going on? And I looked down and my vest is just, it was a tan vest at that time. And it was just red. Yeah, I called out officers down. There's 2 officers down in the intersection. And I knew when I came up onto them that they were both deceased. There was 2 citizens that had heard the gunfire and had gone out. But what he said to him is, don't do this. Jesus doesn't want you to do this. And he just gave up and...
Welcome out to God and Country. I'm Ryan Kennedy, and this is Ingrid Bettridge as usual. We have a great guest on with us today, all the way down from Box Elder County. There's going to be some special conversations that we're going to have today, kind of...
Box Elder's never been popular before. All of a sudden, it's, national news.
Yeah, we don't like that kind of popular.
I'll bet.
So we got Mike Allred down from Box Elder County. Many of you may know him from the Tremonton shootings, where the officers passed away last year, and the court case is starting right now. We'll discuss a little bit about that, but he's also a candidate for sheriff in Box Elder, and we're going to make sure the public knows what they're voting for and why they should vote for this guy. We've had a number of law enforcement officers on the last few weeks, and so we're praising the blue right now and supporting the blue, right along with supporting the military like we usually do. We've had plenty of podcasts about the military, and we're going to dive right into this. So, Mike, how are things going up in Box Elder?
They're going pretty good.
Yeah? How long have you been up there?
So I've been up there for several years. I moved there when I was 8.
Now, you're saying you're born and raised in Brigham City, right?
Well, no, I was born in Idaho.
Idaho.
And moved to Brigham City when I was 8.
What Idaho?
Rexburg.
Rexburg?
Yep.
Huh?
My parents were going to Rick's at the time.
Yeah, my parents also graduated from Rick's, and I've got cousins and relatives up there. My grandmother's side of the family is all up there.
Yep. We're spread out all over up there too.
What brought you guys down to Utah? They just graduated and
no,
down here?
So my dad had got a job. I can't remember what job he had. I was 8, so the job wasn't. I just cared about.
You weren't that interested.
Dirt and outdoors, so yeah, and then just been there ever since.
So at the time, which one was smaller, Brigham City or Rexburg?
Man, they were probably 6s back then. I remember going through high school and everybody knew my parents, and so I couldn't do anything without my parents finding out.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, everybody knows everybody, and
It's rough.
yeah. So I guess it kept me out of trouble, but
Someone goes yell at, I know where you live.
oh yeah, I've been told that plenty of times. It's a good community, good town. It's growing quite a bit.
Yes, it is. It's grown quite a bit. It's kind of becoming a nice little bedroom community.
Mm-hmm.
People getting out of the main towns.
Yep.
Yeah, Logan is getting substantially bigger.
Yes.
There's a lot of people are sticking around in Brigham City, and
They commute over and yeah, I'd like to keep it small, but then I'd also like to keep it about 70 degrees. So
Yeah, that'd be nice.
yeah.
Not today.
wishful thinking.
Well, at least you're not in Europe, right? The funny thing about Europe is I talk to Europeans every day because that's just my job. Is I talk to people all the time. They're complaining about stuff being at 30 degrees Celsius to 33 degrees Celsius, and that's like 85, 90 degrees. I'm like, what are you complaining about? That's like normal. And then I ask him, like, so what's up with the AC over there? She goes, well, it's just not a thing over here. We just don't, it's not our culture. We just don't believe in AC. I'm like, how do you not believe in AC? I'm like, I couldn't survive without that.
Yeah.
I was talking to a guy this morning in Milan, in Italy, and he was like, yeah, even in my car, I'll use the AC in my car until it cools down, and I'll just turn it off. I'm like,
Really?
Oh, then it just gets hot again.
it just gets hot again.
Yeah.
I just, he goes, isn't that like not healthy? I'm like, where did you hear that AC is not healthy? Is that the opposite?
Yeah, it's going to prolong your life because it's keeping your body.
I just am surprised at the difference of culture. It's just, they really just don't believe in it.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Well,
I thought it was strange, but I mean, I told him I was straight up like, I could not survive without AC.
oh yeah, yeah.
Particularly when those 5-6 days a year that gets up to 100 plus in this state. So
Well, and it's been the past few days. It's been hot.
Yeah, we have these big warnings for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Not looking forward to it.
we're supposed to have a monsoon next week. We'll see
We'll take it.
what the rain does next week.
Yeah, we'll take it as long as there's no lightning that comes with it.
Yeah, we got enough fires as it is, right?
Yeah. Yep.
You got anything burning up there?
We had one that started last night, kind of up in the Grouse Creek area. So I don't know what started it. They were just arriving on scene.
I thought it was funny down here that, like, the day after the governor comes out and says no fireworks, we don't need anybody starting fires. We're maxed out at our manpower fighting the existing fires. So if a new fire starts, we don't have the manpower.
Yeah.
Very next day, 2 kids start a fire with fireworks in Kaysville right here in Davis County. I'm like,
Yep.
and then another one down in the southern end of Utah County gets started by fireworks too. And
Just because he doesn't have the authority to say no fireworks doesn't mean it wasn't a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, it's idiots like you that ruin it for the rest of us.
Yeah.
Because you're exactly why he said that. I mean, this.
Yep. And I remember as a kid, throwing smoke bombs out in the road.
Oh yeah.
And, I look over across the street 5 minutes later, my neighbor's yard's on fire. So I had to run over there and
Yeah, you Utah boys like to start fires. My husband did the same thing. He's like, that's the field I set on fire when I was little.
I was a worse youth, and I don't know if I should be admitting this or not, but I was born and raised in Provo, and there's a park off of 9th East and Center Street where all the BYU students would go down and sunbathe and stuff like that. And the girls would always undo the back of their bikini straps. And we thought it was funny to throw smoke bombs and firecrackers.
Of course you did.
And it worked all the time.
Yep.
Not a good thing. I should have been doing that, so don't do that. But it was still funny. It was not like we cared much. We were laughing more than we were looking. But,
Yeah.
Because they'd scream and yell at us, and we'd take off running.
Yep. Yep.
So we weren't starting fires. We were just being hoodlums.
Well, and that's what I tell a lot of the youth that I run into. I'm like, hey, listen, I was your age once. I get it. I did stupid stuff. So just change your ways a little bit and make sure you're going down the right path. And
you won't run into me again.
Yeah. So, but.
And so how did you get into law enforcement? You mentioned before the podcast that you're a car salesman down in Las Vegas. So how did this whole thing converge?
So I've always wanted to be in law enforcement. So I got married young. We weren't even 19 yet. We were a month away from being 19. And so, we knew everything. We had all the answers.
Course.
And then a month later, we get pregnant. And so it's like, oh, well, here it comes. Here's life coming straight.
Here's adulting for you.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course I still knew everything and started having more kids and it was always burning in the back of my head. You need to get into law enforcement. But I had to do other things to support the family and, because cops don't get paid. You can't, it was hard. Back then, I think guys were working 2 and 3 jobs just to be able to make ends meet and have a family. And I was like, you know what? My kids are older. now's the time. If I'm going to do it, I'm starting to get up there in years.
What is older? How old were they?
So, let's see.
How old was your youngest?
My youngest at the time was probably 15.
Oh, so they were a little bit older.
Yeah. My oldest, now he's 20. God, man, I think he's 29. 28 or 29, I can't remember. But he's 29. So I'm like, well, if I'm gonna do this, I better do it now before I start getting too old and I can't do it. So I signed up.
So when did you jump in? What year did you jump into law enforcement?
So in 2000, right in the middle of COVID. So
you've been in law enforcement for 6 years.
6 years. I just hit 6 years.
Wow, that's a good jump right there.
Yeah. So I look at all of my previous jobs that I've had, throughout life, and everything just kind of builds towards law enforcement. Talking to people in the car cells, finding out their issues. And then I did a stint where I was like, well, I want to try to be going to nursing because I wanted to work in the ER because that's where all the cool stuff happens. and so I did some medical stuff for a few years and then
That's a good background for law enforcement.
Yeah. And you know what? There's nothing better than going into I call them retirement homes, and sitting down and talking with the residents there. You can learn so much about life, and you'd be surprised at who you're talking with and what they've done throughout life. And most people, they wouldn't even know. They would just walk past them and they wouldn't even know who they are.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's very true.
yeah.
I look back at how much I've done in my own life that I'm probably half their age.
Yeah.
Or less than half their age. I'm not that young anymore, but yeah, my oldest is 28, almost 29, so I'm right there with you. But yeah, I look back and see how much I've done in my life. And someone that's up in their 80s, 90s, I can only imagine how much they've done in their life.
Yeah, and what they've seen and what they've gone through. They didn't have all the comforts that we have. The air conditioning.
Yeah.
They didn't grow up in that.
I asked a geriatric person one time, what do you think was the greatest, that's what I like to ask them, the greatest invention that you've seen throughout your lifetime, like the toilet, the whatever. They're like paved roads. That's what she said.
That's funny that they say paved roads.
Yeah.
It's not so...
Everywhere you went was just like miserable to get there.
Yeah, just dirt and dusty or muddy, and you get
Probably
stuck.
paved roads and shocks, right, on the cars.
Yeah.
I thought the flushing toilet would be big, but I probably asked that question when I was in my 20s, so it meant a lot to me to hear that, and that's always stuck with me.
Yeah. And you ask kids today, toilets didn't always flush. They don't know the outhouses and.
I try to talk to them about life before cell phones and internet and what is that? I'm like,
Yeah.
I honestly grew up where I was a kid where halfway during my childhood, internet and cell phones were invented.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
I thought it was cool when my dad brought home a brick. That was the phone. And next door neighbor of mine had a car phone. We thought that was the biggest thing in the world. You're rich, you got a car phone.
Yep. Yep. Now I walk around with little mini computers in our pocket.
Yeah.
I was soon to go into the academy and did the whole shebang back in 2000.
I put myself through the academy, went through Bridgerland up in Logan, and got hired on by Box Elder.
So you've always been on Box Elder then?
Yep. And before I spent 6 years with their search and rescue team. So I kind of already knew how they operated, and I grew up in the county, and so it was just a no-brainer just to go to Box Elder. So I started out and worked in the jail, did that for about 6 months before I transferred out onto the patrol
What
side.
happened in a jail in Box Elder in the country? Coming from a girl who grew up in the inner city in Miami.
All the same things. It's just in smaller quantities. And so instead of having, 800 people in a jail, which, Miami probably has more than that, we're sitting around 70 right now. But you still get the people that will bring in drugs. So they'll hide drugs and bring it in. You get the passing of items, or from cell to cell, or the O sheets, and
that we can't curtail that. Like, they're in a contained place, but it happens everywhere.
yeah, and they're so sneaky about it. They know where the cameras are, and they're there, and they know exactly what time the corrections guys are going to walk around and do count or walk through a pod. So
then you guys need to change it up. Don't be so predictable.
We do, yeah, and that's one thing that you can't be predictable, because they know, and they know who's on shift at what time, and so they know our schedule, because they just have time on their hands, and so that's what they do.
Do any of the criminals in your jail have to work to pay back their victims?
So that's something what the court would set up for restitution. We don't have them do work to pay the victims back for anything. So if there's something that the court has ordered that they're responsible for, then that's up to them. So
So no work to Keith.
No, we have like work crews that will do lawn maintenance and stuff like that.
Okay.
Or we've got a garden that they can go out and take care of. But as far as anything like printing license plates or anything like that, you hear about inmates do that. No.
Well, them doing hard labor so that they learn what hard work is. So they learn the satisfaction of hard work. Maybe change.
Yeah. Well, and what's good is these people, most of them are good people. They've made bad decisions. And, whether it's because they were using drugs, or drugs led to making even worse decisions. But you still got to look at them as a person, and like, what can I do to help that person? And so when I worked in the jail, I would sit down and have conversations with them and get to know them, and like, who are you as a person? And so that showing them just that level of respect has helped tremendously out on the patrol side, because I run into the same people, and they come up and they're like, hey, thanks for, being at the jail, and yeah, and talk
Not just a robot there's guarding you.
Yeah. Yep. But they still make bad decisions, but that respect that we made back when I worked in there, they don't fight back, or they're compliant, and they understand, like, hey, I messed up.
What percentage would you say of those inmates leave and don't come back?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that's working?
I think it can be better. I don't think it's working. I think there's, it's like anything, you're gonna have to keep tweaking it. And there's a lot of reoffenders that come back in, and most of it's due to either the friends that they're hanging out with, because that's a lot of influence, or they'll be in for, let's say 90 days, and they'll get clean and they're sober, and then they go out, and now they've got their friends that they're hanging out with again, and next thing you know, they're using again, and it's just a vicious cycle. But if there's a way that we can break that cycle,
I think they need to serve the offender. So if it's drugs, they should be serving, taking care of those who are drug addicts, or somehow giving back to what they took, so that they can see the harm they caused.
Yep. And that's what I think. I agree with you 100%, and I think you're going to get a ton of personal growth with doing that.
Yeah.
And that's something that I talked with one of the ER doctors in Tremonton. This has been a year and a half, 2 years ago maybe, about, this cycle that I was just talking about of using. And the issue that we both came up with is that they don't have a support system once they're free and out of jail. Because of whatever they've done, society and family sometimes will just shun those people, and they want to be accepted. And so when you get to that point, and nobody wants to accept you, and except for your group of friends that only accept you because you do drugs with them or they can benefit from you somehow, they're going to fall back into that just because they want to be accepted. So if there's a way that we can break that cycle and have some sort of localized,
Go to church.
like go to church.
Pick a church, go to church.
A community involvement type program where they can get out and do these things and then show the community, hey, look, I'm a real person. I just made bad decisions once. So I think that everybody would benefit from that.
I want to go into, obviously, the tough subject, and then go into what made you to make the decision to run as sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
Why you and not any number of other people. I'd have to say the question you're probably concerned about is you don't want the sympathy vote. You want to show people that I qualify for this. I belong here. I've got the experience. I got the know-how.
Yeah,
I don't need your sympathy vote. Just
no, I don't want.
Look at my track record and so what I could do. Even though you've been in law enforcement for only 6 years, not 20, I belong here, and that's the kind of the picture we want to paint here. So let's get the obvious out of the way, and then let's get down into what makes you you and what makes you running this and running for the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
So it hit the news. Everybody was shot. 2 officers down. 1 shot. Animal shot too, wasn't it?
Yeah, my canine.
Your canine was shot too. So I know that the court case has just started, so there's only so much you can talk about.
Right.
But I would like to hear, and the audience would like to hear, just from the time you got the call to when you show up there, take us through what you were seeing, what the thought process was.
The time it was just a normal Sunday afternoon. Just doing patrol work and to kind of give a little more of what was going on for totality.
Because you've had multiple calls at this location, right? Is what I was hearing.
That's what I think there was.
They've had
there
some
was
history.
Yeah. So and I didn't know this person because it was in Tremonton and I'm county, so I don't, unless I get called or there's something major going on, Tremonton handles their stuff, and unless we need to jump in and help out, and they jump in and help out us too. But so we were kind of the deputies were kind of spread out throughout the county that were working, and I was in Deweyville at the time. It's just north of Huntingville and just east of Tremonton. So that I heard the call come out for, it was a 911 unknown problem, and they had sent Lee to go handle this.
These were sheriff's office or Tremonton? Tremonton Police were showing up. The 2 officers showed up for Tremonton cops.
Yeah, they were Tremonton PD. And my sergeant was up in Portage trying to handle a case up there, and he had been called away a couple times, so he couldn't focus on what he needed to do. And in the meantime, up in Plymouth, a medical came out. And so they sent my sergeant, and I called him, and I says, hey, you're trying to finish up over there. I'll go take the medical. And so I started heading up to Plymouth for the medical, and Lee had asked that, Eric to come over to the scene. And everything in his voice was fine. There was nothing that was excited. It was normal Lee on the radio. And so I was just kind of listening to this chatter, and all of a sudden Lee says, hey, can I get some more officers over here, meet at the school? So I let dispatch know I'm going to divert from my medical, and because medical is going to beat me there anyways, and I'll head over to the school. So I'm driving over there, and I get stuck behind the one person in the county that's going the speed limit.
Because they saw you.
Yeah, and there's no indicators that, I need to run code, lights and sirens, and get there quick. So I'm going fast, but I couldn't wait for them to get out of my way. And then once I got in the area, I advised that I was there, and I do that, about a block early, because if Azula sees people outside, she starts barking, and then dispatch can't hear anything I'm saying.
Huh.
So I advised I was there, and turned the corner, and I remember seeing their patrol vehicles, and I was like, what is that in the road? I couldn't tell what it was because I was about a block away. And as I got closer, I realized, what it was is it was Lee and Eric in the road. And so I'm like, what is going on? And I get up and I'm right next to him, and I'm getting ready to get out of my car, and I hear this voice that says, "You're on the X. You need to get off the X." And I listened, and I turned the corner and flipped around, and as I was flipping around and trying to get some information out to dispatch, bam, loudest noise I've ever heard. And it sounded like right inside the vehicle with me. And I just felt pressure on the side of my head. And I was just kind of like dazed for a second. And I looked down, and my vest is just, it was a tan vest at that time, and it was just red.
So where did it exactly hit?
So the whole right side of my face and head.
So
It was, so without getting into too much because of the court case, a lot of shrapnel.
So it went through the windshield then, or?
Yeah.
So did the bullet itself hit you, or was it just
It missed me by an inch, but all the shrapnel and
from the glass and everything?
and then it punched through and exploded again, and that's where Azula got hit, and she had some through and throughs from shrapnel, and she's still got a bunch of shrapnel in her body that the vet said that it's either going to stay there or it's going to work its way out.
She's still in service?
Oh yeah, she's feisty as ever. and I've got 200 pieces of metal all through the side of my head.
Your eyes are good?
Eyes are good. I had to have surgery on this eye. They had to remove some because they didn't want it affecting my optic nerve. So they removed some of that. But
you're lucky it didn't hit your eyes, because that would...
Yeah. And I don't know how it didn't, because it hit everywhere else. And I wasn't wearing glasses, with sunglasses or anything. It was 9:30 at night, so it was dark. And I don't know.
So you got kind of point this out so that people can see. So you got a house over here. Are you sideways to the house then, or how?
So I didn't even know where the house was.
Oh, really?
You just came upon the crowd, and that's it.
I did, well, because Lee said, hey, meet me over at the school. So I went to the school, which I knew where the school was, but I didn't even learn which house it was until 3 days later. So I had no clue who was shooting, where they were shooting from, or anything. I just know that we had 2 officers down, and then
You're the one that discovered. So nobody knew officers were down until you got there.
Right.
So you're coming up on the scene. 2 officers are down. Do you think they're still alive at the time?
No.
They're deceased at the time.
Yeah, they were both deceased.
Both deceased at the time. So you're coming up on that. You get the shrapnel. What happens next?
Yeah. So I'm like, okay.
Were you already in drying, or?
I was still in drive when I got hit. So I was just coming to a stop. So somehow I put it in park and got out of the vehicle, because I originally thought that he was standing at my passenger window. That's how loud it was. And so I got out of the vehicle, and I'm trying to find some cover. It's a schoolyard. There's no cover. You got grass 3 inches
Do you even
tall.
know where the bullet's coming from to know where to get cover at?
Nope, I have no clue. I didn't even know that I had holes in the windshield, because I thought it came through the passenger window. And so I'm just trying to find cover. There's no cover. It's a schoolyard. And I'm like, well, there's a dark shaded area over here. I'm going to
You were running away from the vehicle at the time.
Yeah.
Did Azula follow you?
No, she stopped. She stayed in.
Down in the car.
So, and in hindsight, with that, if I would have let her out of the vehicle, I don't think that she would have been here because of what she does every single time she gets out of the vehicle. It's
She would have
clockwork.
gone into her protocol.
So she's not a patrol dog. That's a bite dog. She does narcotics and tracking.
So she's a smell dog.
Yeah, and she does very well at her job. But she's still a Malinois, and they're feisty and temperamental. But she has a certain thing that she does where she comes out of the vehicle and then goes and clears the passenger side, and then we meet at the back of the vehicle every single time. So she's off leash when she does this. And if I would have let her out, I don't think she would have made it through. I think she would have been shot and killed. So now moving forward, so I left her in the vehicle, which she's in a cage. It's her safe space.
Okay.
I'm trying to get to cover, and there's only a dark shaded area that I can see. And I'm like, well, if I can get over there and lay down, I can figure out where this is coming from. And as I'm going over there, I hear this voice that says, hey, you can't go in a straight line. To zigzag, he'll track you. And so I'm zigzagging back and forth, so I'm not just a stationary target. And I'm still hearing gunshots come off, shooting at me. I get over there to this dark corner where it's just no ambient light. And I'm like, okay, I can lay down. Well, I hear the voice again. You can't lay here. He'll find you. So I go back towards my vehicle and then ended up finding a gate in the fence and finding cover, which was, the traffic barriers you see on the freeway, they usually fill with water.
No, the orange plastic ones?
Yeah. So there was some of those that were completely empty. So it's just hollow plastic. So it's like, well, at least I can get behind this and try to figure out where the shooter's at. And
Do you run backwards as your weapon drawn?
so, I don't remember. I don't remember if I drew my weapon because I didn't know where anybody was. So, and that's kind of
So
something
how many yards is this from the vehicle to the black spot back again? I mean, how much distance were you dodging bullets for is what I'm trying to say here.
God, it might be 100 yards.
You went 100 yards dodging
crazy.
bullets. That is
So I heard a couple rounds as I was doing that, and I don't know how many total were fired, but I remember, and as I'm updating dispatch as I'm doing this, and you can hear it through my radio as I'm
shots fired.
Yeah. So I get over to my concealment that I had found, my cover, and so I'm updating dispatch. I'm trying to, because I knew the cavalry was coming in, and so I'm trying to tell everybody to stay away from this intersection, stop a block short, trying to get.
What are you calling out? Officers down?
Yeah, I called out officers down. There's 2 officers down in the intersection, and I knew when I came up onto them that they were both deceased.
Did you call that out that
obvious.
they were deceased, or you just say officers down?
Officers down. Yeah. So, and then just kept trying to give updates as I could, and then I finally was like, well, I need to self-assess because I don't know. I've still got blood just pouring off of me, and
Did you figure out where it's coming from at this point?
so I felt the pressure in my head, and I didn't know if it was coming from the head or the shoulder.
But I mean, where the fire was coming from, the bullets were coming from. Did you find
Not
out?
at this point,
You still don't know where it's coming
because
from.
it had gone silent.
Oh.
And so I'm just kind of waiting, listening, and I'm like, okay, I can see, I can breathe, I can hear, I'm communicating. And there's no reason to touch the side of your head and realize that there's a big chunk missing, and bring that stress on. So I didn't even swipe.
Smart.
It was
because
just,
then it gets blood out of your hands and it gets slippery and you
yeah.
can't hold anything.
Well, my hands were already bloody.
Already bloody.
There was so much that was coming, and
One thing about head injuries, I've come from the medical world. I mean, you were in nursing. Boy, they give this a slice little cut. Your head bleeds like crazy.
Highly
Yeah.
So you could have just a little bitty thing. It's just going to gush.
yeah,
I mean, it's crazy. When I was a kid, I had a rock thrown at my head. It was a cut like this. And it looked like Niagara Falls coming off my eyebrow. I'm like, what?
yeah. I'm gonna bleed out, you know.
Bleed out.
But
But you don't know, right?
yeah, I don't know, and I didn't want that stress, and because I'm operating, and I'm doing what I need to be doing, and I remember my sergeant talking to me on the radio, some troopers that were on their way, and
UHP's coming.
yeah, UHP, you know, we had guys come from Cache County, Logan, Ogden, you know, of course Perry Willard, and there was even officers from Roy that came that night, and from what I've seen videos of people that live up on the hill in Honeyville, just seeing a line of lights going down the freeway, you know, heading towards Tremonton. So there
Did
was.
you tell them you were hit?
Yeah. I had advised dispatch that I was hit when I got out of the vehicle, and I was trying to key up my mic that's on my vest, and it wasn't toning, wasn't doing anything.
Oh,
Well, I had to turn my radio on because I was using the truck radio when I was driving around. And if you have them both on, you get reverb, and dispatch gets mad at you because it chirps in their ear. And so I had that one turned off. So I had to physically turn my radio on, wait for it to boot up, which is a couple seconds, and then get out that I'm hit. So, and then everything else happened. But I finally ended up meeting a trooper, and I don't even know how I knew what street I was at because I don't spend a lot of time in the city. But I told him, I said, when I see your lights, I'll meet you at the intersection. And I saw those lights and met him in the intersection on the north side of the school. And I told him, I said, hey, kill your lights. I don't know where he's at, you know, the shooter. And, you know, everybody's adrenaline's going on. And so I'm like, kill your lights. So he goes over, kills his lights, and now we're going back and forth between his vehicle and a citizen's vehicle on the side of the road, just so we're not stationary, and trying to figure out what.
Where is he?
Yeah, because nobody else had shown up yet on the scene. He was the first one, and I think it was about 10 minutes later, after I had got hit, that he had shown up.
So you're there by yourself for a full 10 minutes. What's going through your head at that time? You light flashing before your eyes? Anything else? Are you focused?
So
10 minutes can seem like an eternity.
yeah, I was hyper focused, and I was concerned because I knew what I saw with Lee and Eric, and so I was sad for their families, and
How well do you know Lee and Eric?
So I worked with Eric a little bit when I first started, and then he had gone to another agency, and then came back to the jail, and then he had moved from our jail over to Tremonton. So I got to work with him and go on a couple calls with him. So I didn't know Eric very well. I knew Lee well because we had always gone on calls together and just helping each other out and phone conversations. Hey, what would you do in this situation? What do you think on this? And we would do that back and forth. And so it was just the pain of what their families are going to be hearing and going through, and trying to figure out what happened, what led up to this. And
Obviously, there's no way to determine that.
No,
until you figure out.
there's none.
And satisfy the situation.
You know, as officers, we're fixers. We want to fix things, and we want to, like, what happened here? So kind of all those things are going through my head. I did once, I believe it was once the shooter was taken into custody, I called my wife, and
this is going to hit the news. I'm okay.
Well, yeah. So, and I called and her phone rings and rings and rings. It goes to voicemail. I call again, does the same thing. So I call my daughter who lives with us, and she answers. I'm like, hey, tell Mom I'm okay. Everything's going to be fine. She's like, what? I'm like, just tell her that. I hang up the phone because I knew what was coming to my front door, and I wanted her prepared because we had talked about this throughout the years.
I'm sure.
And you see it in the movies and stuff, and when they approach the front door, and I didn't want that happening to her. So the ambulance finally gets to me.
Well, explain how we get the subject first. You're with the highway patrolman. You're running back and forth. When does everybody else show up, and when do you actually find out where he's at first, and then how you guys get him?
So as we're talking over the radio with my sergeant, and I'm telling him I'm telling him to come in from the north. Don't come from the south. Come from the north, and make sure you stop short. So that's going out, and everybody's hearing that. So somehow he got turned around and came in from the south and ended up right in the middle of the scene. And the shooter was there, and there was 2 citizens that had heard the gunfire and had gone out and were looking for their children because they were out playing.
Oh.
So they came upon this guy that had just done this, and
So he's outside.
yeah, he's outside, and they end up talking him down, which is an amazing story on its own because
They had been neighbors that had known each other quite well, right?
so they lived a little bit of distance away, but what he said to him is, don't do this. Jesus doesn't want you to do this. And he just gave up, and they were able to secure the weapon that he had, and they held him on the ground until my sergeant got there.
No kidding.
Yeah,
So the citizens had him on the
detained.
ground.
yeah.
The citizens grabbed him, and the officers didn't even do anything. The citizens had him.
They may have saved his life.
Well, those citizens saved other lives
Yeah.
for what they did, and they didn't have to do that.
God's hand was in so much of this.
It was, and we'll get into that in a little bit. I'll talk about some of that, and just how it all unfolded, and you look back and
So does your sergeant come up on the citizens that have him on the ground?
yeah, right there, the scene, Lee and Eric and the citizens and the shooter, and
And he was already on the ground, and
he was kind of, yeah, just kind of in the kneeling on the ground, I guess.
just how far away from the officers were they?
And probably 20 feet.
Oh, they were right there,
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, right there. So they put him in handcuffs and without incident or anything there, he held his composure, and now we have a job to do. Is now we have to protect the suspect because now he's in our custody. So he did a great job controlling that scene and doing everything that needed to be done there.
Because now at that point, tempers are flaring.
Oh yeah,
People are upset.
Yep.
2 people are down.
yep,
I can only imagine.
yeah, and you can imagine what's going through other officers' heads as they're coming up on scene, and the anger and the emotions here coming up because these are our brothers. We know these guys. We work with them. So it's one of those things that it hits you hard, and everybody was able to maintain their composure and be professional throughout that situation there.
So the ambulance shows up, and then what do they find with your head?
So they're ripping my vest off of me, checking for other wounds, and I remember they went to cut my shirt, my uniform shirt, and I wouldn't let him cut it because that uniform means something to me, and not that particular shirt, but just the uniform itself. And so I took the shirt off and tossed it on the ground and let them do their thing. And they're like, okay, you're going to the hospital. We need to secure your gun. No, nobody's taken my gun from me. I'm still in the fight. And they're like, no, we need it. And so I started kind of fighting with them a little bit. And
Why do they need to secure your weapon? Because you're going to the hospital?
well, because I'm in the black, in the red, the black, because my adrenaline is so high and I'm in the fight. And so they want to make sure that I'm not going to fly off the rails. And, and you know, it's just a safety protocol thing. And so, and I remember this bald guy coming up to me and just bear hugging me and saying, hey, it's all right. We've got him. It's okay. So I let him take my belt off, my duty belt. And
Because you didn't know at that moment yet?
it was just that reassuring that, hey, everything's going to be okay.
Okay.
So they take that equipment off and load me into the ambulance. And so later, as I talked, because I was trying to find, I found out everybody that was on the EMS crew that night and fire that came, and I was thanking them for what they did. And I'm like, where's the guy that bear hugged me? They're like, what guy? I'm like, the guy that came up and bear hugged me and told me everything was going to be okay. Yeah, the bald guy. There wasn't anybody there.
Wow.
So
Do you know what your grandparents look like? Do you?
that's so getting in, I don't want to jump ahead too far, but we'll get back to that.
Okay.
On the way to the hospital, my wife calls my phone, and the EMS guy took the phone away from me, wouldn't let me answer it. Oh, that pissed me off.
What pissed me off too.
Yeah. And I remember him telling her on the phone, we're headed to the hospital. He's going to be okay. Just meet us at the hospital. And then he hands me my phone back. And
That's protocol too?
It is protocol because I've been a motorcycle accident. I tried to do the same thing. That
yeah, because
What's the rationale?
they need to focus on you, and they don't need you moving around.
yeah, yeah, because I was
They're trying to do a job.
yeah, I was already still in the
see.
fight.
Do you know what's how injured you are at this point?
No,
Do you know anything?
no, I just feel pressure. I don't feel any pain because my adrenaline's so high still.
And so that like, they're trying to stop the bleeding.
Yeah, and just doing their thing and trying to stick IVs in me as we're going down the bumpiest paved road in Tremonton. And
That must have felt good.
oh, my arms were purple for weeks. Yeah. But that's all good. I don't blame him one bit. So get to the hospital and everybody's the trauma guys, the whole team is there, and they're working on me and doing their thing. And I remember the doctor at one point climbing up on the bed I was on and straddling me and going nose to nose, telling me that I need to calm down or I'm going to have a heart attack. And then my son walked in the room. So he had been called from one of his friends that was listening to the scanner. Said, hey, your dad just got shot. He's at the hospital.
Oh wow.
So he came in and runs over and grabs my hand. Was like, Dad, just calm down. And so I started calming down, and
How old is your son?
he's 29.
That.
So
So he's old enough to
yeah.
make sure Dad calms down.
Oh yeah. And he's got a way about doing things. He's calm and cool until he doesn't have to be, and then he's got my genetics when it comes to that. So, and he was very persuasive.
Can only imagine.
Yeah. And I remember once I started my adrenaline started coming down a little bit, and I was like, why am I packed in ice? I've got ice all over me, ice bags in my armpit and, down my legs and under my back. And, well, my adrenaline was so high, my body temperature was getting too high. So
Did they do that in the ambulance or after you arrived?
they did that at the hospital.
And you just...
I didn't even know it.
Huh.
So, and then when they started scrubbing and cleaning, that's when I started feeling the pain, because of course that's not going to feel good.
No.
So I didn't take, I get selfish in some ways, and they kept asking me, do you want any pain meds? And I kept saying, no, I don't want any. And because Lee and Eric didn't get that choice. So I didn't want the pain meds. So didn't have Tylenol, anything. Just dealt with it. And the hospital staff did their thing, and very professional, and I've been in and thanked them, and I've been in a few other times for other injuries that I've gotten from either Azula or barbed wire fences, and I see the same staff there, and we've got that connection a lot.
Yeah, like
The dog getting a little rough.
Yeah, she tagged my hand a couple of weeks ago, and she missed her tug and decided that my hand was going to be the tug, and I just let her have it instead of jerking away, because that would
That would have been worse.
yeah, it just makes it worse. So I had like 9 puncture marks, and got a little scar right there that's left. But yeah,
So
yeah.
they say clean your face. How many cuts do you have?
So it's just pelleted, just a bunch of holes everywhere, from the shrapnel going in, and
you got the tweezers out pulling out.
no, they said it's going to do more damage if we try to take it out than it did going in. So I'm stuck with it.
So you
So
still
what
have
is-
the shrapnel.
What is it mostly? Is it mostly car glass?
No, it's metal from the bullet. Right. Yeah. They took an X-ray, and the X-ray that I've got, it's kind of cool. I kept it and put it in a little folder, and it's just, you can just see it.
And it wasn't a shotgun.
Nope.
No, it's where the bullet probably mushroomed, second hit the windshield. Splinters of it came off. I mean, if it was metal jacket, and then the jacket would have come off in shrapnel. Lead would have mushroomed out, and then.
And I can't tell you what kind of bullet it was, but it was.
Well, I've
it was
been
designed.
shooting enough that I know what's going on here.
Yeah.
If it was hollow pointed and jacketed, the jacket usually sprays off, and that's what usually causes the borehole is the jacket, and then you'll have the mushroom. The mushroom will hit whatever it's hitting and keep going, and that's probably what caused the shrapnel with the dog. It was what left of the bullet, but the jacket probably was what sprayed in your face.
Oh.
The brass jacket.
Because I'm also in the healthcare industry, and I've seen x-rays where the doctor said, hey, because the English wasn't very good, can you ask him if he's ever been shot at? Look at this x-ray. And there was just little dots everywhere, but very perfectly round. I'm like, it's got to be shotgun, right? You ever been shot at? And he's like, no. He remembered later on after another visit that he's a cowboy from, I don't remember if it was Colombia, but he says I was herding sheep, I think, and they were coming to steal them, and they shot at him. And so but I'm like, you don't remember that? Because where I come from, I remember if I was shot. But he didn't recall upon first asking, but same thing where he says, no, they left it in there.
Yeah. And weird enough, when I went in a couple weeks ago, and they x-rayed my hand to make sure there was nothing broken. And the x-ray tech's like, did you?
She must have clamped down pretty tight if they're looking for that.
Yeah, she's got a pretty hard bite. The x-ray tech says, you got metal in your hand? I was like, I do. So I go over and I look at the x-ray image, and it's like on my pinky finger, my ring finger, and I'm like, oh, well, because I was holding my microphone when it came through, so that makes sense. Didn't even know it was there. So I'll have to do something to my arm and to get that x-ray. And see,
You probably have to. I mean, I was in a pretty bad motorcycle accident where I was down in Salt Lake, and a lady turned right in front of me, just like dead in front of me. And I was on my motorcycle, and I T-boned her floor to the top, and
Yes.
they x-rayed it, and they had little specks of gravel all through my arms, my leg. It's like, and they're in there picking it all out. It's not glass, or
Yeah.
it's not metal shards, right? Because that would cut out.
Yeah.
It's just little pebbles everywhere. So,
Yep. It goes in quick, and then
and that rough ride to the hospital, I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about, because I was going down, and 215 is not as smooth as you think.
No.
You're in the back of the hospital, or in the back of an ambulance, and they're trying to stick a needle in your arm, and you're just like, what the? Stop! It hurts.
just hold it, and then the bump will hit you just right, and it'll go in. Yes. Yeah. It's
Tell me what this means.
which one? I've got two of them. So, Worthless Handler is a brand that was designed by a guy back east that was a canine handler, and he was very proactive, and he ended up getting in trouble from his agency for going on a podcast and talking about different things and that he experiences in the canine world. And they ended up taking his dog away from him. And so it was an admin thing. So his thing is Worthless Handler, because that's what his admin treated him like. So, but the reason that I wear this is on the other side it says Dying Breed. And Dying Breed to me is the old style cop that would go out and hunt and find things and get into things is no longer
Because we're
happening.
We're reactionary now and not
Right.
proactive.
Right.
I can totally see that.
Right. And so that Dying Breed is a reminder of, hey, don't drive past that vehicle that's in the parking lot. Go check it out and find out what's going on. Because it can either be somebody sleeping there. It could be somebody that's using drugs. It could be somebody that's getting sexually assaulted. Well, we're never going to find out if we don't go over it.
Could be
And
nothing.
make contact. Right.
Go on about your day.
Yep. So, yep, that's just a reminder. And this one's the St. Michael. So,
Let's get into the spiritual side of this, because we are God and country.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear your opinions on this, because everybody's going to look at the two officers down as not divine intervention, but bad things happen to good people all the time. Life
Right.
is just not fair.
right.
That's just the way it is. Doesn't mean that God's not going to step in afterwards and prevent further carnage, right? 'Cause
Correct.
you have your freedom to choose. You have your freedom to make bad decisions, and bad decisions hurt other people all the time. God is not going to prevent bad decisions from happening. He's not going to prevent bad things happening to good people. That's just the way life is.
Yep.
But he'll make it all fair
We
later.
deal with what the dish is given us, and then we let Christ take the rest, right?
Yep.
So, besides the point of the two officers down, everything else seems to be miracle.
There was more at play that night than
More at
I
play
think
that night.
anybody will ever understand.
Because you have no idea how many bullets you dodged,
No.
how close they were to hitting you.
Nope. And
The Spirit is obviously telling you, get off the X,
Yeah.
or you will be next.
yeah.
Go through what you feel the spiritual side of this whole event is.
So let me start off that I haven't been the most spiritual guy throughout life. You know, I've known that there's something, but you know, it's the questions and like, you know, why am I here type thing, and how can there be something else if we don't know and we just got to go off of faith? That didn't make sense to me. So going through this whole thing, and man, I'm glad I listened when I heard that voice say, you're on the X, you need to get off the X. If I would have stepped out, I would have been dropped right there. And I remember as I would tell this story to friends and coworkers and people that came over the days after, weeks and months after, telling him one time, it was my training, and it took over. And I remember looking over at my wife, and she had laser beams in her eyes. She was
Give
killing it.
gratitude where
Yeah.
gratitude is due. You do
Yeah.
it right now.
And she says, when are you going to admit it? And it was at that point that it kind of, it really sunk in. And I was like, there were so many things that happened that night that are unexplainable. You know, and I think that it was God's hand doing this. It's, you know, why would I get stuck behind that car going the speed limit? You know, was I not supposed to get there quicker? Or was I supposed to get there at that moment that I got there? Why did my sergeant come in on the wrong route instead of the route that I told him? So there was more at play that I think helped protect everybody else from this horrible situation. Looking back at it is one thing, but then living it and hearing that voice, it was the loudest, clearest voice that, I mean, with all that chaos, if you can imagine your adrenaline going and everything, but you hear this clear voice that's like, hey, get off the X, you're on the X. Well, yeah, you listen to that, and so you get to, what does your grandpa look like? Well, my sister and her husband had come over, and it was the next night, and he's like, hey, do you want a blessing? I was like, yeah, I'll take a blessing. And he gave me a blessing, and during the blessing, I hadn't told him any of this story yet, by the way. He says, during the blessing, that my grandpa was watching over me that night. And after a little bit, I'm like, hey, come outside with me. I'm like, how did you know to say that? He's like, it just came to me. So yeah, my grandpa was bald, and that's all I can think of, is that it was him that buried me. And he passed away in '89, so it's been a long time since I had seen him.
Was he in law enforcement at all?
No, he wasn't. But I was very close with my grandpa, and I remember going fishing with him all the time, and going over to the neighbor's house super early in the morning to get the earthworms out of the garden, and then we'd have these little competitions. You know, remember the atomic fireballs?
Oh yeah.
We used to see who could leave those in their mouth the longest.
Oh, we used to do
I remember the day I beat him. I was so happy, but so yeah, I believe it was my grandpa that bear hugged me, and
I would totally believe that.
and what makes the story even more, I guess, weird, or weird's not the right word, but I had just bought a motorcycle, May of last year, and I was out driving around one day, and for some reason I ended up at the cemetery and stopped by my grandparents' grave, and I hadn't been there for a few years, and I just stopped by and said hi and let them know what I was up to, and just drove off and didn't think twice about it. And that was about a week before this whole incident happened. So that gets your mind going. I was like, well, what's the reasoning that you went there? You know? So I think that I've been given a second chance at life for whatever reason. I may never know. It may be something in the future that I'm supposed to do, or somewhere I'm supposed to be, or maybe I've already done it. I don't know. but I've been given a second opportunity, and so I'm thinking, well, I'm not going to squander this at all.
Maybe it's just the opportunity to recognize that he's there, right?
Yeah,
Before that faith really wasn't there, and now all of a sudden,
yeah,
you had that wake up moment.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, okay, you know I'm here.
yeah. And so now it's weird because, and my wife even thinks it's weird. She just kind of looks at me, and I'm like, hey, we can go to church today? And, you know, because I look forward to Sunday and going to church and spending those 2 hours, because that's 2 hours that I now feel peace. Or before I didn't really feel peace, but now I do. And the world's quiet, and it's granted it's only just 2 hours, but that's 2 hours.
2 hours is a lot when you
Yeah.
get that peace.
I look forward to it.
So let's do two comparisons here. Charlie Kirk wasn't that lucky, but President Trump was.
Then can't explain it.
Can't explain it. No.
Things happen.
I think
Right.
sometimes the Father needs people in different places. He needs you here for whatever reason. If he needed Charlie, if Charlie was going to be an instrument in his hands on the other side for, we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe to be that voice for more people. Maybe he could reach more people. Was that voice your Father in heaven, or was he allowing your grandfather to? Because it sticks out to me that you say the X.
Yeah.
Is that what you call it in law enforcement? Is that what the layperson would call it?
So that's what we call it in law enforcement, and that's something that, like, if we were to say, "Hey, get off the X," we all know what that means. So we don't have to explain it.
He's going to talk to you in a way that you're going to understand
Yeah.
very, very quickly.
Just boom. Yeah.
But I think God says, if you're going to let me use you, if you're truly going to look to me, this is where I need you. Mm-hmm. And for some people, it's by his side, and then other people, it's still down here.
Yeah. And so you mentioned the Charlie Kirk shooting, and that happened a few weeks after this Tremonton shooting happened. And I look at that as like, look at what's happened with Christianity since then, and how much it's grown, and what he's done for that.
Mm-hmm.
And or not Charlie, but what that event has cost.
Right.
And so it just takes you back. There's a reason for everything. We're not in control.
You read your scriptures and you can see that in every civilization, as soon as we're blessed, and I know I say this a lot, we suddenly don't look to God as much.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody, but we're distracted because we're happy.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it takes trials, and God says clearly in the scriptures, I won't dwell with this blessed nation if the majority of the people aren't looking towards me. And we've had a lot of not looking towards God in this nation.
Yeah.
And so we're reaping what it is, and it takes those trials to have us turn towards God. And I mean, I know that the recent, there's a typhoon in Guam and earthquake in Venezuela, and I was just talking to somebody who says he had family there, and he showed me a photo of his cousin in her home, and he said they felt so blessed because she's fine, but you look at her home, and I don't remember if you remember what's our Ukrainian friend's name? When he showed us photos of his bombed out home, her house looked just like that from the earthquake. And she's still living. She's in there, and just blessed that she goes, it's okay. We're all okay.
Mm-hmm.
But the house looks like that. And I'm sure she's turning to faith right now. And I think it takes those trials. Sometimes we're such a stubborn people.
Oh, yeah.
But he wants us all.
Yeah. And I'm very stubborn. And yeah, I've been humbled, and I've had to realize that I'm not in control of anything in my life. I'm this big, and He's
Humbles
in
you
control.
really quick, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
I saw the same thing, the same reaction with Trump, right? Is he was from before the shot to after shot, he got a little more humble around. He's not that humble, but he got a little more humble. But we need a guy like that.
Yeah.
If he wasn't as brass as he is and as long as straightforward, he wouldn't be getting anything done because
Right.
people would just railroad him. But you saw him reflect. But the biggest thing, besides just a little bit of humility, is he turned a lot more Christian now. And I've said this before, I've never seen an administration talk more about God than I've seen this administration. From the Charlie Cook incident, and even way before that, Christianity came back, prayer came back. That was when we started this podcast, is when he got into office and he had that first prayer. And in the conference room where that first cabinet meeting, and I'm like, we haven't seen this in 50 years.
Yeah.
And
It needed
And
to
with a
happen.
cabinet of all different faiths
All
from all
different
walks
faiths.
of life,
Yeah.
praying together.
yep.
It needed.
And
to
then
happen.
Charlie Kirk happened, and all of a sudden he had lines in front of churches. People like, I went back to church for the first time
Yeah.
in years.
Yeah.
People are really kind of turning that. And I think Charlie Kirk was that awakening, and he served his purpose to wake the rest of us up, right? And yet Trump didn't get shot, which I think would have fractured this country,
Oh yeah.
fractured it completely if a leftist would have killed a sitting president or a president that's
Yeah. It would have turned ugly real quick.
It would have done worse, right?
Yeah.
So there's a hand in that. Same thing with you. You could have, who knows? Your head could have been 2 inches to the left or to the right, or
Yeah.
anything could have happened. You couldn't have listened to the voice and stayed. Your vehicle could have stayed right where it was. And
You know what I picture? Don't they doesn't CI come out and mark all the bullets they can find, like in the school grounds? It'd be interesting to have a photo of where those all were and envision
How close
where
they were to you?
run.
So they have that. That's just part of. I can't get into that.
Right, the investigation.
Yeah. Yeah. And they
can you say how close any of those were to you when you were running to that dark spot?
I have no clue.
That's what I was saying. For you, it might be interesting to one day look at it and figure your path and see, wow.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to. to be honest with you.
It's kind of nerve-wracking to know how close to the other side you really were.
I'm
Right?
glad I stepped left too. Yeah. 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 And yeah, it's just the whole thing. I was guided through that whole event that night.
Completely guided.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's get to the family then. Your son comes into the room. I'm sure your wife shows up.
Yep.
What was the first conversations like with family?
So my son was emotional, which I knew that would happen. Sorry, Des. When my wife stepped in the room and had my other daughters and their significant others with them, and I was expecting her to just fall over on the floor.
She probably came and smacked you.
She doesn't handle stress very well. She will go from 0 to 10,000 like that. And so to see her walk in the room and the strength that she had, and I kept telling somebody get her a chair because I knew she was just going to go down. She's like, no, I'm good. She stood there.
Thing as well.
Yeah, so she was being strong for me. And as this went on for weeks and months afterwards, I kept telling her, like, you're going to break at some point. No, I'm good. I'm good. Well, yeah, it happened. So, but I was glad that I was there with her when that moment finally happened. So,
Realization she almost lost you, right? And she's got to mentally deal with that.
yeah, because she was strong. We've been married for 30 years, and that she was strong, and for her to go through that and know what happened with everybody else, and yeah, I'm glad that she's my rock.
And your daughters, how'd they react to the whole thing?
So my daughters, they were scared when I told him I was going back to work. You know,
How soon after did that happen?
March. So this event happened in August, and March is when I told him I was going to go back to work. But you're probably wanting to know that night of how they were.
That first reaction, yeah.
Just tears and hugs and
How old are your girls at this time?
so 27, 21, and 20.
Yeah. So I've got a 21-year-old daughter, and she would break down so fast.
You know, because they're daddy's girls, and
Yeah, so daddy's girl.
got you by that pinky, and
And she knows exactly how she's gonna,
yeah,
she asks me anything. It doesn't matter.
yeah. The weeks and months afterwards, because I got placed on admin leave and was able to just deal with everything, and I didn't sleep for like the first 3 days, and didn't eat, and I remember just breaking down just all the time, and my daughter's coming up and just holding me, and you know, because
Do you think that's residual from kind of like survivor's guilt or just sadness that you lost two officers?
both. I was sad for those two, sad for their families, and I was kicking my butt hard. That's
I had
survivor's guilt.
survivor's guilt. Survivor's guilt is hard.
Yeah,
And I know a lot of people come back from war. A lot of our veterans come back, and it eats them up.
yeah,
Why am I still here and they're not?
yeah. And it was those would've and could've, and what would have happened if I would have gone faster here? Could I have taken this other route? Could I have got there quicker? Could I have stopped
before
it?
they got shot?
Yeah. And so all that was, I was just replaying.
And you never know, because you could have gotten there to stop it, or you could have gotten there and have been stacked up with them. Right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
the ifs will kill you. What if?
Yeah.
What if?
Oh, yeah.
We interviewed my sister and her husband because my niece committed suicide,
Oh, I'm sorry.
and then my brother-in-law, he was on a business trip in California, and he was trying to get back, and just nothing was working to get him back here fast enough, right?
Right.
All these delays, and he says the entire time it was just my brain. What if? It was just tearing him apart. Until finally, about halfway back, he just caught himself and said, "I got to stop. This is going to kill me."
Yep.
And he stopped the what ifs.
Yep.
And it was kudos to him for recognizing that as quick as he did, because he hadn't gone back yet, and
Yeah.
he recognized the road he was going down,
Yep.
and
Yeah, that's a dark road.
it was a dark road. It's
Yep.
very hard.
Yep. And I spent weeks just kicking my own butt and having that scene replay over in my head constantly. 100 times a day. And then I got to the point where
Well, that visual of driving up to two dead people on the road has just got to be impregnated in your head.
Yeah, I'll never forget
Never
it.
forget it.
Yeah.
I was talking about that motorcycle accident. When I flew over the top of the car and I hit the pavement, my helmet hit the pavement so hard there's this loud pop. And I would wake up 4 or 5 times for the next week hearing that same pop in my head, and it would jerk me awake.
Yep.
I imagine it had been something similar.
So I did that one time. I woke up to the gunshot once, and I sat straight up in bed.
Straight up. Yeah.
And my wife was still asleep. Azula sleeps on my bed, and she was still asleep. And I'm like, I'm the only one that heard that.
And it's loud.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That pop when my helmet hit the pavement, it was loud,
Yeah.
and it took me right out of my sleep so fast.
Yep. Yeah.
I could imagine
It's a
how
real
bad a
thing.
gunshot is worse.
It is loud, probably about the same volume, but enough to jerk you out of your sleep and like,
So how many surgeries have you had?
just one.
Just the one?
Just the one on my eye. Yep.
And
Yep. That was just to get some shrapnel out. I've got the shrapnel at home. They keep it. It's in a little jar.
I do too.
Yeah.
Glass I pulled out of my wounds.
Yep.
Nothing like a gunshot. I'm not comparing the two, but I do have a little
Yeah.
sharp
It's just a little
shrapnel
memento.
that the surgeon pulled out of my.
Yeah. You know, someday you can tell your grandkids, hey, this was in my arm once.
Yeah.
So
Well, your skin looks good, and you don't have a bunch of
no,
white spots.
it healed up. I can feel, you know, I shave my head because I'm balding and I don't want it. The longer I grow it, the faster it falls out. So I can feel the bumps on the side of my head, and I've got one that's on my cheek over here that I think is trying to fester and come out. So, which I'm going to have to
Sometimes
just
they
deal
do.
with that and take it as it comes.
We did a podcast with Warrior Risen, and they said they were going to reach out to you guys and bring you guys down to the ranch and bring the families down. Have they reached out to you guys at all? You know who Warrior Risen is, right? Warrior Risen Ranch. They're a ranch in Morgan where they specialize in veterans, and so they'll bring in veterans from all over the country that are wounded warriors, right? They've lost limbs, lost something, or they'll bring in the families of vets where the veteran didn't come home. And just within the last couple of years, they've started moving over to law enforcement. And so they're pulling in a lot of law enforcement, a lot of law enforcement families where the officers died in service. And I know that they were wanting to pull you and the families of the two fallen officers down to the ranch and have you guys go through that experience. It's a non-for-profit, doesn't cost you anything. But have they reached out to you at all?
There's been so many people that have reached out. I couldn't tell you either way, to be honest with you.
We'll give Slickty a call down there and see if they give her your contact.
I'd like to bring in the couple that work with the law enforcement at Warrior Risen. Also, they're on a short list to come on them.
Yeah.
See if they can pull you and the other two families in. 'Cause that'd be a great experience for the families.
Yeah.
How are I'm supposing that you've had some conversations with the other families.
We talk all the time.
So how are they doing right now? It's a year later.
We're all about the same. We're doing a lot better, but we have our moments, and you know we send texts back and forth. And hey, buddy, check, how you doing? And we'll have conversations and yeah, two amazing women.
And their kids, how are their kids doing?
Your kids are doing good. Your kids are doing good.
How old are those kids? The other two families with rough ages.
Eric's kids were young, and Lee's kids they're older. They're mid-20s. So yeah, without getting into too much of their personal space, but
just age group,
yeah, but yeah,
tough situation. I mean, my family's gone through death, and it wasn't violent like that, but suicide is rough too.
Yeah,
it's really rough for the family. So
it is. And I remember the first time that I met Brittany, Eric's wife, she had wanted to meet me, and we just couldn't get our schedules to meet up after that week, because it was just still chaos with everything. And Tremonton was having a public, I guess it wasn't really viewing, but they had both caskets there, and the public could come pay their respects. And Brittany said she was going to be there. And so I said, okay, well, I'll come there. I went in the backside of the high school, and because I've always made it about Lee and Eric. It's not about me at all. None of this is about me. And we'll get to that in a little bit too. But I remember Brittany coming out, and she was more concerned with how I was doing than she was with herself.
Tough woman.
Yeah. And yeah, we talked for 20 minutes, and she was like, what can I do for you? I'm like, no, what can I do for you?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, but yeah,
That's
super strong.
Yeah.
She's the one that had the officers come up to the door, right?
Yeah.
Tell her, hey,
Yeah.
But serving sometimes is something that you crave to help heal.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a true thing. When I did I don't know if you saw the video of when I went and did the rodeo at the night and came out with the Zula. The county commissioners had approached me and asked if I would do that, and I said I under one condition, that I don't interrupt anything with Lee and Eric, because they were going to have the two horses ride by, the riderless horses,
I saw that.
and have their moment of silence, and they wanted me to come out of the chutes right as the horses passed me. I was like, no, because as soon as I come out and somebody sees
This is on you.
it, then attention's on me. The crowd's going to do whatever the crowd's going to do. I will not take that moment away from Lee and Eric. You're like, okay, we'll work it out so that it's that way. Well, I get there and they tell me, well, this is how it's going to be, and you're going to come out as soon as the horse is passed. And I said, I'll go home right now. I won't do this. So they did it the way that was right, and the way it should be done. And then I came out and I saw the reaction of the crowd. I couldn't really hear them. So that was the first time I had experienced auditory exclusion. I could see their reaction. I could see their tears and what it was doing for the community. And I was like, we're all going to get through this together. And so I did it one more night, and for everybody else that wasn't able to attend that first night, and they were passing a boot for Lee and Eric, and we were able to boost that up for a pretty good dollar for them.
Yeah, probably needed to.
Yeah, absolutely.
That we recognize the tragedy that has fallen on this quiet little community.
Emotions running high as two riderless horses made their way around the stadium to honor Officer Eric Estrada and Sergeant Lee Sorensen. And following a touching display of community, the surviving officer entered the arena as the crowd erupted in cheers.
Please welcome Deputy Mike Allred and Canine Officer Azula.
I think as a public, when you have, the two horses go by, having you come out is like a bright spot of hope.
Mm-hmm. That's what
It's hard to describe.
So I responded to a call maybe 3 weeks ago out in our county, where a teenager drove into the gas station to get fuel. He shut his truck off, and his truck started on fire. And he was able to push his truck away from the fuel pumps. Since all there wasn't a huge... Yeah. And when I pulled up, I remember seeing his mom there. And when I got out, I saw the expression on her face, and I was just like, well, she's in shock a little bit. And so as I was talking with him and finding the story of what happened and making sure everybody was okay, he was refusing to give his mom a hug because he was in public. And so I was like, dude, come on, give your mom a hug. She's scared to death right now. So he gave her a hug, and then she came up to me and says, I was hoping it was you that came to this call. I'm like, why me? And she says, you give this community hope.
Oh, wow.
That we're all going to get through this and we're going to do better. And, I thanked her, and I said,
I'm sure it's hard to take.
Yeah.
Because you don't want that attention,
Yeah.
but it just is. Like, we need
Military
somebody
has the
to
same
know.
thing is they get all the attention. They're like,
Yeah, I don't want it.
I don't want the
I
attention.
don't want it. And after the shooting happened, have you heard of the 912 project? And so that's what it felt like, because the whole community had come together, and neighbors were talking with neighbors, and people that don't normally talk with each other were talking. And I put out, I'm like, this is what it's all about. We need to keep this going and not let it die off in the months to come, because
And that's so hard.
It's going to, and it did, but I think there's still some of it that's still moving and still doing that. And as we're coming up to this 1-year anniversary, I think that's all going to come right back, and that community is going to be stronger than ever. I hope so.
The anniversary is always tough. The anniversary after that's going to be tough because
Yeah.
you have to live through it. And I know my sister goes through her Angel Day every year, and it's been almost 15 years. And every Angel year, it's tough
Yep.
for her to get through it because that's
Yeah.
her daughter died. So
You remember all those good memories, and
have you spoken with the neighbors that talked him down at all?
I have. Yep.
What was their mindset going through that?
So I went there, and I was contacted by a man I look up to a lot that has helped me through this, Brent Jex. He works for Tremonton PD, and he contacted me and said, "Hey, let's stop by." This is 4 days after the shooting, and we went over and we knocked on the front door, and they came out, and they just immediately teared up, and I remember him looking at me and like, did I do the right thing? I'm like, yeah, you did. It was stupid, but you did the right thing.
I can't imagine what it felt like to be inspired to do that and follow through.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've become close over this, and they're family now, and they're forever going to be family to not just us that was involved in this, but the whole Glue family and the community, and being able to talk with them and hear what they did and what they were going through, and I mean, it's the same thing that we're going through, so we help each other out. And
The issue is they get to still live on the street and have that memory sit in front of them every single day.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Every single time they walk out the doors,
it's right there. Yeah,
that's where the 2 officers died, right?
Yeah.
That's where I had to talk them out. I mean,
yeah. But kudos to them for doing that.
that's a tough memory though. When that memory's in front of you.
Yeah.
My sister had to move. She had the bunk beds taken out. She couldn't have anything that reminded her of it.
Yeah,
She had the doors taken off. Everything.
yeah,
Anything that reminded her of she had it taken out.
yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly normal, and that's okay. And the way that the community rallied for them too was awesome. They didn't ask for any of this. They didn't sign up for, like we sign up to put ourselves in danger. They were just 2 people that did the right thing and signed themselves up that night, put themselves in a position that they may not have walked away from, but I know that they saved countless other people.
Countless.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about the family of the assailant? I mean, hopefully they're not being turned out to be the bad guys in all this, and people are giving them some.
No, I haven't. So I haven't talked to any of them. They were in court the other day when we were in court, and it was emotional for them as well, because not only is this their son that they love, but their son also did this horrible act, and I could tell because I was sitting just right behind his mom, and she was just tore up because of
Could
this
see her
decision.
pain as well.
Yeah,
You often see the families in the courtroom after hugging, because it's almost like you share a united pain.
yeah, and I think it may get to that point where we'll be able to talk with each other. That was the first time that we'd ever seen each other, and it was an awkward time as well.
It's got to be awkward, but you're not enemies either. I
No.
mean, he made a
No,
horrific decision, but
yeah,
Family's not.
This is a choice that he
Sometimes the
made.
families are at fault because there's some hoodlums out there, some gangs out there. You can tell, no, you didn't have parents who are
Right.
teaching you anything.
Right.
Your parents are at fault for this whole thing.
Yeah.
I kind of have the same thing with the whole Charlie Crook thing because
Yeah, Tyler Robinson's family.
are a really good family, good wholesome family, very Christian, very LDS, and their son
And despite that, did the right thing and had him turn
he
himself
went,
in.
he went
How hard would that be?
Yeah.
completely opposite.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine what they're going through. I mean, it's 10 times what this family's going through because of the national attention
yeah.
that Charlie Crook's bringing. But
Yeah.
there's many, I mean, even Erica came out and says, don't bother the family. It's not on them. You don't be sitting outside their house all the time.
Yeah.
News media sat out there for weeks, and it's tough, right? And,
Right.
and if you're feeling that survivor's guilt, I mean, what's mom and dad feeling?
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is my fault.
Yeah.
What did I not teach him? Where did I go wrong where my son did this, right? As a parent, I don't know how you get through that.
Yeah. I remember as I think they were talking about his date of birth, the shooter's date of birth. And I remember looking over at Mom, and I think that day came right back into her.
When she had the baby in her arms.
And she got real emotional.
Yeah, you think,
Which-
how'd we get to here?
Yeah, because it just took her back to that moment. And, yeah.
Well, as a parent, the whole life, I mean, first day of kindergarten, first day of school,
Yep.
your first date, all those images of growing up, your camping trips, your vacations, all those moments as a parent go through your head, looking at your kids now facing death penalty.
Yeah. Sitting right in front of you and you can't converse with him. Yeah, that would be hard.
Tough situation.
Yep.
So, I mean, let's talk about that a little bit because prosecutors are seeking the death penalty for a suspect that killed 2 officers. I mean, that's where it's going right now.
Yep.
Just kind of read here. Prosecutors will seek the death penalty for the man accused of fatally shooting 2 Tremonton Garland police officers last weekend, as well as shooting a 3rd officer and a canine. Newly filed charges by Box Elder County prosecutors include 2 capital offenses and a notice of intent to seek the death penalty against Ryan Michael Bate.
Does it say his age, or are you able to say his approximate age?
I don't even know his age.
Well, the charges were filed back in 2024, but yeah, they are seeking the death penalty.
Yep.
It's probably merited. Sad, but
Yeah.
probably merited at this point.
Yeah, and it's something that, we as the victims had discussed. How do you feel about it? And Lynette, Brittany, and I, and I remember telling them, I'm like, it doesn't matter what I think, how I feel about it. You're the 2 that lost somebody. Whatever you decide, I'll go with. And that's
a hard
not
decision
fair.
to make,
That's
right?
not fair for me to put that on them either. But yet I told them I would agree with them. At first, yeah, I was like 100% death penalty. That was the anger in me that was coming out, and so I wanted to be the one that could deliver that death penalty. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
Kind of that revenge.
yeah. And now I look at it, and through some reading that I've done, is that it's not on my shoulders, the death penalty. If I'm okay with that, which I am, it's not on my shoulders to feel any guilt for that. And I've explained this to them too, that God has ordained the government to be able to make that decision for these worst cases. And so we can't have any guilt on that at all. So I explained that to him, and I hope I explained it in a way that they understood, and I think so, because we still communicate. And I think if I would have made them upset, they would tell me right away. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, you see some perpetrators that you can see some remorse there. I did something really, really stupid. And then you see a lot of them that are just as cocky as ever, don't care. Yeah, so what? I saw a little bit of that in the courtroom with the Charlie Kirk shooter. He's really, yeah, I think I took a bad person out of this world, and I'm going to live by that, right?
good.
And I mean, that's the ideology in his head,
Yeah.
where that's what they believe in. I mean, there's a lot of people on the left that really, that's the ideology, and we're sticking to it type of a thing. And
Yeah, and I don't
no remorse
understand.
there, but-
I don't understand why any violence has to be brought into it. It doesn't make any sense to me that somebody can't sit down and just have a civilized conversation. And
Words hurt your feelings.
yeah, and why let it get to that point where you have to choose violence because you can't use words?
I think it's interesting that both court cases are now going on at the same time.
Yeah,
There's going to be a lot of, I mean, the Charlie Kirk one is going to way overshadow this one,
Yeah.
but they are both going on at the same time right now.
yeah. And I haven't followed anything with the Charlie Kirk court, because it's not to that point yet, and
Yeah, it's just
so I'm familiar with the
Well, they brought in all the text messages and all the,
yeah.
there was a video that we had never seen before.
yeah, they put his roommate, his boyfriend, up on the stand this last week, and they released that to the public, and then,
No,
so I mean, it's moving,
yeah,
and that was the most important one out of all of it, is his admission to the boyfriend.
yeah. I haven't watched any of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot more that got released during those text messages, because they released some of those text messages the day of,
Yeah,
but then they're kind of released the entire transcript at this point. There's a lot more
Some
to
of
it.
the video has been redacted, and that's not sitting well with Eric. Yeah,
yeah.
they're not being completely transparent.
Well, and maybe that'll come.
Well, it's got to come
trial
out later
itself.
in the trial.
And because all they have to do at this point is
Show problem.
show the probable cause for the charges.
That's all they're doing right now is
Yeah.
probable cause, motive,
Yeah.
and then they're proceed with the trial.
Yeah,
But even then, not to get off a tangent here, but everybody knows how
I know where you're going.
Candace Owens has been lately, and all these new transcripts are coming out,
ridiculous.
and she is still defending
She
this
sticks to
conspiracy theory that Erica was involved in it. That's the
A lot of people could look like him in that video. There
Well-
were so many people wearing that same outfit.
She was just on Sean Ryan's show. I don't know why Sean Ryan brought him on, because he's going down the conspiracy road
Exactly.
theory too. But the whole thing now is that there was a explosive device in the microphone, and the microphone is what did it. And then you could, and they're like zooming in and seeing a piece of the microphone on his throat, and there's pieces of the microphone throughout the car, and glass shatters from the microphone. I'm like, you guys really just, why do you not like her for some reason? What is up with this? Because you're going down some weird roads. We all know what a bullet hole looks like. And I said this the day of the shooting. I'm like, I've shot enough deer and elk in my life through the throat to know exactly what that looks like
yeah,
at close range, on scope. And the second I saw that, I'm like, no, he's not surviving. I've seen that hole too many times to know better.
yeah.
I recognize it. It's not a microphone blowing out.
No.
When you've had the experience, and sorry, but Candace Owens, I don't think she's ever shot an animal before, or anything else for that matter.
Yeah, I don't understand
where
why she'd have to go down that road. It makes no sense other than it's evil.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And she's dragging a lot of the people down with her. I mean, the popularity behind that conspiracy theory is getting crazy. But I'm curious to see how both cases progress now. It's going to be for the next year, maybe longer for both cases. We'll see how they both go. But let's kind of move to law enforcement in Box Elder. We've had Mike Smith from Utah County on. We've had John Atkin on. We just had Zach Van Emmerich on, and one of the big things that Mike Smith from Utah County was talking about is how much trafficking is coming through our state. We are just a feed line for the border of drugs, sex trafficking, child trafficking.
You've got those arteries going all throughout our state.
Yeah, it's I-15 and I-80, right? It's the crossroads of the West for a reason, not just for merchandise, and for normal trucking, but it's a big thing.
Trafficking.
So we know how bad Salt Lake County is getting. Salt Lake County, and a lot of that's bleeding into Davis County and Utah County because those are the neighboring counties, right?
Right.
Everybody's like, really? What could possibly happen in Box Elder, right?
The exact same.
Tell us, what are you seeing about how much of this bleeds, how much trafficking, how much drug pullovers, how much sex trafficking are you guys seeing up there in Box Elder?
So let's start with the drugs. We've got I-15, I-84, and Highway 30 that comes in out of Nevada and then connects to 84. So we've got those major routes in our county that it'd be dumb to think that things aren't moving down the road on a daily basis.
Yeah, well, Zach was on us last week saying that a couple Idaho boys were down in Salt Lake picking up meth because it's cheaper and they could go sell for 3 times as much as in Idaho.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was one of my main questions is, what's going on in Box Elder? You guys are border with Idaho. What kind of cooperation do you have with, I don't know what county Pocatello's in, but...
So, I think Pocatello, that might be Blackfoot County.
Blackfoot County. I'm sure you...
Oneida's just right over the border from us.
Yeah. I'm sure you've worked with the officers up there, too.
Yeah, and we've got networking with some of their troopers that's on their task force, their interdiction team, that they'll call and say, hey, you know, these certain vehicles with this plate, look for those because they're traveling between Salt Lake and Idaho. And so we share intel back and forth.
Which is the unique thing of having a county that's on the border with Idaho. So tell us how does that what's going through Box Elder and how does that cross border relationship work?
Everything that's going through, you know, Salt Lake County, Utah County, that's coming through Box Elder too. If they're heading up north, they're either heading north taking drugs or heading south taking money. So as far as the cooperation with the Idaho, so these are just 2 guys that I have cell phone contacts with, and they'll shoot a text or say, hey, be on the lookout for this car. You know, I'm not in a position right now to have that, I guess, interagency relationship with Oneida County and the ISP. You can guarantee that'll happen once I'm in there, and we'll be able to share intel back and forth. But the amount of drugs that come through would probably astonish most everybody, because you hear about, you know, 70 pounds of meth and 300,000 fentanyl pills or that they find down on I-80. Well, that same amount's coming through up in Box Elder County.
Have you and your officers had any busts like that or
nothing? So I haven't had anything huge like that because that's going to be on the freeways, and we're not allowed to work on their freeways because that's the troopers' jurisdiction. We're supposed to be driving the back roads of the county, which I disagree with. I have a specialized tool that rides around with me all day long.
It's you too.
That
I just bit your hand.
Yeah, that needs to be out and finding these things. And we have other canine units in the county that their dogs are just as capable. And if the trooper stops somebody and they think that there might be, you know, something in the car, they'll call us and we'll come out and do a sniff. But I would like to get an interdiction team set up that's all the local agencies, and we get, you know, so much time a month to go out and just do nothing but interdiction. And let's find this stuff. And it doesn't matter if it's drugs or if it's fraud, child sex trafficking or human trafficking. Let's get out there and let's find all of that. Let's put our efforts into that, not just one of them, but everything. So that's one thing that I would like to get started up and let our guys know, hey, it's okay to go out on the freeway and make traffic stops. It's not our fault that freeway comes through our county, but we're going to do everything we can to protect our citizens from that coming into our county.
Is that throughout the state? Because I was under the understanding, like in Centerville, they're like, Centerville will pull you over wherever. They don't care if you're on the freeway.
It's something that the sheriff has decided that he wanted to do, that he didn't want us out on the freeway.
Okay.
So, which that's
I
his
think
decision.
you should be working together. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think UHP, sheriffs,
Yeah.
local police, they should be
we're all
united
one
front,
team.
right?
Yep.
United front.
Yep.
One of the big things we were also talking with Mike Smith was he's got a full contract with ICE.
Uh-huh.
His deputies are deputized with ICE.
Yep.
John Atkins says for sure when he gets in January, he's going to be getting that same contract. Salt Lake County Sheriff, there's no way she's going to be able to put that in because there's too liberal in Salt Lake County. She tried to put in a contract like that. She'd get voted out of office, so it's kind of hard for Salt Lake County.
Yeah.
Box Elder, what do you think about putting a contract like that with ICE?
I would be interested with sitting down and talking with them and discussing what exactly the details are of the contract and what sort of manpower we would have to provide. You know, because that's where it's going to boil down to is can we afford to dedicate X amount of deputies?
Well, it's not really dedicated. They simply deputize you, so you while you're out normally out there, you can make those arrests and detain them as an ICE deputy.
Yeah.
Or ICE can come pick them up.
Right, and it goes to like our staffing levels of do we have the staffing that we can do that, and we're not letting county stuff fall behind.
Yeah.
Because our citizens are going to be the number one priority, but that's something that I'm going to have to work out with the county commissioners, bring on some more deputies, which we already need badly, and then have that conversation with the ICE and see if we can't come to an agreement. Because I think it would be a good thing.
Yeah, I think it'd be really good.
Because there's nothing worse. So when you come into this country, you're expected to come into this country and do it the right way. And no problem. Welcome to America. Have fun, live your life, and do what you want. But when you come in and you're breaking the law to already get here, you're going to continue breaking the law once you're here, and then you're going to start expanding on that and getting in
or
and
you
doing
get
worse
caught by the
things.
cartel halfway here, and then you are for sure going to be breaking.
And if somebody thinks that the cartel's not in Box Elder County, they're mistaken. There's cartel. There is cartel activity.
Yeah, I think anywhere you have find I-15 and have, I mean, again, going out Mike Smith, he said they found an actual cartel hitman that already had hit 3 or 4 people, and they don't know how many others. Literally up here hitting as professional hitman in Utah County. I mean,
just walking around, living a normal life with everybody else.
Yeah, taking out his hits when he required to and burying the bodies, and he had Mike Smith had him take them out to where the bodies were buried, literally. And then Zach Van Emmerich was telling that he had a cartel hit clear out in the west side corridor. There's a car fire, and they found that they had left the body in the trunk and put it on fire on purpose to not leave any evidence.
Get rid of all that DNA and evidence. Yeah. Yep. It's they're alive and well. We just recently hit a house, and it was a cartel drop house, and pulled guns and 70 pounds of meth out.
Really?
Yeah.
What community was that in?
Just within the last 2 weeks.
What community was that? Was that in
Tremonton?
Tremonton?
Yep.
Yeah. Little old Tremonton.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's little town America right there.
Yeah.
And so if you're thinking, and what other perfect place to hide?
Yeah.
Is in little town America that, you can blend in and you can move in and say whatever story you want that this is why you moved here and this is the job you have or whatever. And all of a sudden, oh my gosh.
They probably like raising their kids in small town America.
Yeah.
And
that was a
Tremont's a
cartel.
good middle place between Idaho and Salt Lake, so
Yeah.
probably traffic in both directions.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and I know they got a large amount of cash too. So it, yeah. But drugs, guns, cash,
Were you in on that, or no?
nope.
What have been some of your biggest events that you've experienced up there?
So I had one when I first started on a cartel event. I got a call that there was this property owner said, "Hey, I think there was a cockfighting event happened on my property." So I went up and looked at it, and sure enough, you could see where pens were set, and you can see, you know, where the fence was and where they would let the birds fight. And there was feathers in there, and there was little razor blades that they put on their feet. And I'm like, this is Box Elder County. And so as I'm looking around and I see this area that's freshly dug, I'm like, we need to dig that up. So he brought his backhoe up and we dug it up. We went down about 12 feet and found a roll of carpet and 40 dead roosters in there. And so going into more investigation on this, we'll find out that the property owner has no clue, but the guy that he's hired to watch over the property got paid a large amount of cash to hold this event there. So, and it's all cartel. And with those things, you've got the gambling, you've got the drugs, you've got the human trafficking, you've got the child sex stuff.
That's because that's where they meet up and negotiate and do business, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah, the cockfight's just the entertainment.
yeah.
To the true
Negotiations.
business
Yeah.
that's going on.
Yeah, so I've had that. I've had some big theft cases that I've done that I investigated for over a year and a half and was able to find the person that is. Funny enough, as they're going down and they're stealing the copper wires off of the old Union Pacific power lines, and I mean for miles and miles and miles.
It was like turning it into the recycling
Yeah,
for cash.
turn it in and get cash for it. So, and what do you think? Doing that is to feed his addiction to narcotics.
Yeah.
And so everything falls back to a common denominator of narcotics, and that's why I'm big on getting rid of drugs. Is if you get rid of drugs, you're going to get rid of a lot of the sex crimes. You're going to get rid of the thefts and the burglaries, the fraud, because they're doing all this to feed their addiction. So if we can help get that taken care of, get the drugs out of the community, we're going to have less crime.
Yeah. And you're not immune to it. I mean,
No.
if you're looking at, these are just a couple over the years, right? Criminal charge related to disappearance of the Dylan Rounds, and his body was found. You've got dead body found in a remote mountain range in Box Elder County. The investigation's ongoing. This is just since 22, then 25, and then another in here argument over a stolen e-bike
Yeah,
led to a double shooting in Tremonton.
yeah.
I mean, those are big city crimes right there.
Yeah.
What are they doing in small town Tremonton?
It happens. It happens. We're no different than any other big city out there. We don't get the sheer volume of those crimes, but those crimes still happen. And when they do, they're shocking because they're like, no, that can't happen here. But yet it does. And I think that if we were more proactive and engaged in the community and doing some community outreach, and we could help tear some of these down so that these big, huge crimes aren't happening. Because once again, it goes back to, are they being accepted by the citizen, their community and their family, or are they just only being accepted by their friends? And so you look at all these, and they're going to have a common denominator. I'm not familiar with the body out west. I think that one was that like maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, the one that found mountain range of 2025. So
Okay.
just really exactly a year ago, not even a year ago, July 21st, 2025.
Okay. So that one I'm not too familiar with because I wasn't involved into that one at all. But everything else, if you can build up the community and get involvement and get citizens engaging with each other in a good way instead of a bad way, then like this Dylan Rounds thing, that was a terrible, sad story that happened out there as a kid trying to make his way in the world and farm out in the desert of Box Elder County, that he found something that was able to grow in that soil there. And kudos to him for doing that. And to get in an argument with the guy that was helping you and then he ends up losing his life. That's yeah, that's sad. That's sad, and that's I felt for his mom and dad when they were there, and reading and hearing about their grief, and they just wanted their kid back. I don't blame them one bit for being upset. They wanted answers. They wanted somebody to talk to them. Absolutely, as a parent, I would want the same thing. And yeah, I feel for them. I wish
stupid argument. I mean, it's a Cain and Abel thing.
Yeah.
It's a stupid argument over flashing stuff.
And once again, we're causing violence over words. Why does it have to go to that? We can't just talk and have a civilized conversation.
Well, next to the big shooting happened in Tremont last year, the biggest thing that happened up there is this incident.
Oh, yeah.
So
what an embarrassment.
What an embarrassment, right? Brigham City, in your hometown, right?
Yeah.
You grew up in Brigham City.
Yeah.
Box Elder County judge has been arrested and faces multiple child sex charges after evidence allegedly shows that he distributed and received child sex abuse material online. He was probably doing a lot more than that.
It was my understanding it was a fire chief.
Oh, the fire chief. Fire chief.
Out of Tremont.
Yeah, Tremont and fire chief.
Yeah.
And fire chief, I mean,
These are
the firefighters like the most safe people to go to, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're the cops' heroes. They're the firefighters, and why in the world?
And the kids, who the kids would look up to.
When that story first came out and broke, I was like, this is disgusting. How could this happen to a sitting judge and a fire chief? And how long? That was one of my questions: is how long has this been going on? And
it had been going on quite a while, because most of these people are very, very solemn. I mean, they're by themselves for years and years because they won't talk about, won't let anybody out. For the fact that the fire chief and the judge knew each other, knew what each other did, that means it had been gone exceptionally long time, because they would have had to figure out about each other, felt the ground out and learned to trust each other, and then actually started becoming proactive with each other. It takes a long time to develop that type of relationship. That not happens overnight.
No, that's and that's.
And we all know that 90+% of the people that have child porn have acted on it. Mm-hmm. That's just what they do. So, what victims do we have out there between the two of them?
Yeah, and what victims are we going to find in the future, and what victims are we never going to know about?
Yeah, that's the scarier thing.
That's the thing
we're never going to know about. No one. People just want to bury it, pretend like it never happened.
No, and we, as a society, we need to quit allowing that to happen. That we can't hide from these horrible things, but we can sure try to stop them from happening. And this case with the judge, utterly disgusting. And this is somebody that I sent citations to for people that were speeding, or that signed off on my PC statements on somebody that I arrested. And this is somebody that went out and they were doing this to young children and victimizing them and then distributing these images. It's sickening. You would kind of hit on it a little bit earlier, is on like, as a society where we are right now. How bad do we have to get before we go back to when the floods happened and the earth was clean? Like, was it really worse than it is right now? Or
No, we're getting to that Sodom and Gomorrah type of period of time.
Yeah. So
If we're there, when you look at us as a world, I mean, the atrocities, we only know what's told, what we
Right.
see. It's always more than what we see.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it's always going to continue to happen. But if we quit burying these things, and the other thing is the penalty for these.
Not severe enough.
No, it's not, and that's something that our legislature needs to sit down and figure out, and. We need to quit making these crimes a slap on the wrist. Especially, I understand first-time offender on a small and lesser crime, don't hammer him to the wall. But what's that going to build over time? They're just going to continue getting that slap on the hand. And like, I can get away with this. I just have to spend a couple nights in the jail. I get fed. I get a place to sleep. I think we need to be a little more strict on our penalties and quit letting these offenders re-offend on the same thing over and over, especially the child sex stuff. How many times do you hear that they've been released on parole and then they go out and re-offend, if not days later, hours later?
Yeah, John Atkins was talking about several instances where he's been on those cases where father brought his own child to a motel to meet with another father that had a child, and they're swapping kids.
Disgusting. Yeah.
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 I was, we were also talking with Zach. I'm the kind of guy that be little vigilante on cases like that, because that seriously upsets you.
That's where the Old West needs to come back into play. And the way we handled things back then, it was completely different. And granted, times are different, but we didn't
tolerate this type of stuff, and there's got to be a deterrent, not a slap on the wrist. The slap on the wrist is not a deterrent.
No,
it's designed to be a deterrent.
Yeah, when even the cartel looks down on that, he told us the story about somebody who had raped somebody and what happened to him.
Yeah. Have you ever gone on any child type cases where it's been something like that?
So where that's a specialized thing, and you want guys that's got specialized training to do that. We've got detectives that will go and do that. I would take the initial report and then hand it to the detectives, and they would run with it and then get their convictions. Because the one thing that you don't want to do is re-victimize the victim by asking them questions. And if I'm not trained to properly ask a question, I would feel horrible re-victimizing somebody just because I'm trying to get an answer. So until I've been through that specialized training, I'm not going to ask those questions.
That seems to be
Yeah, that's just
protect the victim at all costs, particularly if the victim is a child, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So kind of walk through your decision-making process of deciding to run, why you're running, and what you think you're going to be able to do for the community.
Okay, so my decision came that quick when I decided to run. I had heard from another chief in our county had called me and said, "Hey, I need you to come in. I need to talk to you about something." So I went into his office and talked to him, and he let me know some things that had happened during the shooting. And I can't go into detail on those, but it left questions in my head. And this had been a few months afterwards. And I went to my sheriff and I brought up these concerns and I said, how come we haven't investigated this? And he said, I don't see a problem.
Yeah.
I said, well, if I'm here asking you this question,
Then it's a problem.
it's a problem, and I see it's a problem, it should be investigated. I don't think there was anything done that needs to be investigated. It was at that moment that I decided I have got to run for sheriff. It was a goal of mine to do it later on in my career. But at that moment, I was like, he doesn't have my back on this issue. If he doesn't have my back, he doesn't have anybody else's back. And that really upset me because we have dang good deputies that put their life on the line every single day. And our citizens deserve to know the truth and the answer on things. And if we're not going to investigate things because we have a relationship, a personal friendship or relationship with individuals, and we're going to let that get in the way of us doing our job, then I have a problem with that. So that's when I decided, and I think it was November 22nd, is when I decided that this is what I'm going to do.
Well, you went to the primary, won the primary.
And handily, right?
Yeah.
Handedly.
Yeah.
Handedly won the primary.
Yeah.
So do you have that big of a runner on the Democrat side that's running against you where you're concerned at all for it?
There's not a Democrat running against me.
So are you
I have
running unopposed right now, or does it
No,
look like signatures?
I have 3 independents. There's independent that are running.
3.
3.
Aren't they just going to split each other's vote and lose anyway?
Yeah.
If you got the R behind your name,
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is that I went in because I knew that there was problems and filed my paperwork at 8 o'clock in the morning the day it opened to file. And these guys waited until later, months later, to even file the paperwork after that window had already closed. So now they're running as an independent or unaffiliated. But the problem I have is that they've left their party affiliation of Republican to run unaffiliated.
just because you won the primary, that's the only choice they have at this
Well,
point. Yeah.
so they had put their names in the hat before the primary, but it was also after there was an issue with our current sheriff that was accused of a DUI and several policy violations, is when they put their names into the hat. Well, why did they wait until then to do it? It doesn't make sense to me. Why didn't they do it up front and stay with your party? And
Why do they just back you instead of running?
well, it goes deeper into the issue that I raised with the sheriff.
Something stinks in Denmark, and we can't talk about it yet.
Yep. Yep.
I said that's they back. They're sounds like they're backing something with the sheriff. They don't want something to come to light.
So yeah. There's things that hopefully they can come to light here pretty quick, because I would love nothing more but to talk about the issues and the problems and how they're going to get fixed. So,
Do you suppose any of them any type of major competition to you? Are they having any type of popularity, or do you think that you've got the majority still within the county?
I think I've still got the majority. I've got the R behind my name, and
Yeah, but if you let dark money into it, like we've had happen in Davis County, and if you can get maybe the TV media to back some false things,
Yeah.
the public doesn't know any better.
yeah, and that's the sad part is I've run a clean campaign all the way through, but I've been destroyed on these Facebook group pages, and where people are coming out and saying that I ran away from gunfire and was crying and called my wife.
Really?
I mean, come on.
Well, they're purposely
Seriously.
starting a narrative they know is false, just because
Exactly.
they know it's going to catch on fire, and that's all they wanted to do is catch on fire, right?
Exactly. And now it's like voting for Allred is a guarantee that he's going to raise your taxes, property taxes. I've never once talked about property taxes.
Well, that's the big question, right? No commissioner out there, no sheriff out there wants to raise property taxes.
No.
But when you, as law enforcement, are playing reactionary and you're not proactive, you do not have enough officers.
Right.
Plain and simple. You don't have enough. And the communities are growing, things are growing. That means the commissioners need to buckle down, put more money towards law enforcement. Like here in Davis County, less to a animal shelter or anything else like that, less to these other facilities, and support what's more important. Because as law enforcement, to keep crime under control, you have to be proactive.
Correct. Yeah.
And when it's reactionary the entire time,
Yeah.
you're-
It's going to run rampant, and you're
you're
never
not
going to
gonna get
catch
ahead.
up. It's a game of cat and mouse, and you're never going to find that mouse.
Yeah.
The thing is, and I think that, you know,
but that requires a lot of times a tax increase. Why? Because you got to pay more deputies, right? It's,
right. But if you approach this and say, and you're transparent about things, and you explain these are the reasons why we need these extra tools or we need these deputies, and you explain the whys and the hows and what it's going to do to benefit the community, I think the citizens are going to back you on a tax increase.
you're not asking like a lot of money. You're not asking for millions. You're asking for like 3, 4, 5 more salaries, right?
Right. And
And
as long as you can have a conversation with the citizens and they understand what you're trying to do to make their lives better and safer, they're going to be okay with it. Yeah. And I think we found this with the whole
the
data center
data
thing.
center thing.
And we lost 2 county commissioners and are getting 2 new county commissioners because of
The data center.
they didn't come out and weren't as open and transparent as even I think they should have been.
Well, nobody says that. I mean, no one has any problems with the data center. Data center is a good thing. But there was like
No, there's some people that don't understand that part
Yeah.
either, but
no transparency.
that data center should be offsetting taxes enough to be able to support some more officers.
Right.
Yeah, that should be.
Yeah.
We can get into the whole MIDA thing where the MIDA's stealing all you guys' money up there, but
Yeah. And luckily I'm not in that.
that's the commissioner's thing.
Yeah,
We'll discuss that with
yeah.
the commissioners. But
Yeah. I'm in charge of the safety and security of the county. So whatever I've got to do, I'm going to be open and transparent and have these town hall meetings and let people tell me their ideas. I don't have all the ideas. My admin team's not going to have all the ideas. There may be citizens out there that's got a far better idea. And yeah, come in and voice it. And hey, you know what? That might be the
What
really good
citizen
one.
involvement in a republic?
Yeah.
Madness.
Yeah. Weird.
weird enough, or do they actually get involved? Because you could ask them a billion times to get involved, and they'll sit home and watch TV before they get
Yeah, and we'll see that at the city council meetings, and there's 1 or 2, citizens there.
always there.
Let's get more of you. Let's get some community involvement going and start these discussions. That's how you make true change. Start out in those grassroots changes. And
How many officers do you guys have in the county?
so on the road, patrol side, we have, we have 4 crews of force. We got 16, and then we've got 4 detectives, and then the admin team. So it gives us 30. We're at 34, I think, on our number list. We've got some guys that are in training right now.
20, 24 officers, and then the admin team.
Yeah. Okay.
The admin team is pretty large then.
Yeah, there's a lot of chiefs.
10,
A lot of chiefs and not enough Indians.
Yeah.
So, which, as I sit being a sheriff, I'm not going to be the guy that's stuck behind a desk all day. I know there's times I'm going to have to sit behind a desk and I'm going to have to do paperwork and different things and attend meetings, but I'm going to be out in the community, and I'm going to be making traffic stops. I'm going to be going to these community events and talking and getting my deputies involved so that they're now directing and teaching community engagement things, whether it be something on fraud or elder abuse or sex crimes. Let's get out in the community and let's talk about these things. Let's not brush it under the rug.
Yeah, keep it on alert so that they're afraid.
Yeah.
So they know that people are watching for them.
Yeah, and for some reason, it's if we don't talk about it, it never happened. But let's talk about things and let's get it out there. And then now we've got, instead of our patrol guys, just their eyes, now we've got a whole community of eyes watching things. And like, hey, I'm not saying start turning on your neighbors and nitpicking everything, but if you see something, say something. And let's
do something. I'm like these other couple did, is stopping a shooter.
Exactly. Let's stand up and let's take ownership of our community.
A lot of people forget that it's we the people. The government is not this magical entity that takes care of everything. It's we the people take care of ourselves. We govern ourselves, right? Just because I elect somebody to vote, take care of something, doesn't mean I just wash my hands of it and walk away. Someone else is going to figure it out.
Correct.
Then you don't understand the idea of what we the people is.
No.
And I think the federal government, state governments have gotten so big that we, the people, have forgotten that we are the people, that we govern ourselves, that they're not some hierarchy, they're not some all-powerful officials up there. It's just your next door neighbor that's filling a position.
Yep.
And you have to stay involved because we're governing ourselves at this point. And we lost that a long time ago. We lost that mindset, that is the we, the people mindset, a long time ago. A lot of our government officials have lost that because they want to occult things, hide things, keep things under the closet, not disclose things. University of Utah stuff. I mean, we had Tina Cannon on here disclosing stuff. People don't want to disclose stuff. Our commissioner's not disclosing stuff.
Yeah.
Box elder commissioner's not disclosing stuff. All of a sudden you get in these positions where you forget it's we the people.
Yeah. And I think that maybe we got complacent. I keep hitting this thing. Maybe we got complacent and we got comfortable with letting that happen because our lives were too busy to get involved.
That's what I'm saying, because we're blessed. We're happy.
Yeah.
We're out playing soccer and watching soccer, and we're out living our happy, blessed life.
Which absolutely we should.
We should.
But yet we have a responsibility that falls not only just us, but future generations to come. That we should be setting these milestones for them. I'm scared for the future. Can you imagine 2 generations from now with this?
Wow.
If we keep going down this path that we're going, what it's going to look like?
Can't even imagine.
I don't want to.
Well, there's some guy comes in and saves us at the end, but
Yeah.
What did Weiss think when he came to her and said, I'm running for sheriff?
Oh. She does not like confrontation at all. And she's like, really? I'm like, yeah. I'm not in control of this. This isn't something that I want to do. I've already been through this. Why would I want to subject myself to more?
Yeah.
I'm not doing this. And this gets back to what I was going to talk about when earlier is I'm not doing any of this for me. This is all for my deputies that I work with, my brothers and sisters in blue, and my community.
Are you guys really in blue?
Well, we're in green.
Green.
But yeah, we just switched to green. We were tan. But yeah, we're all one family. But
I'm just
so
messing with
yeah, no. Because after everything I've been through, why would I subject myself to this amount of, I'll call it hate, because there was a lot of hate that was said, but a lot of untruths and a lot of character attacks that
We know they're
Or just
getting
untrue.
desperate when they start doing that,
Yeah.
right? And sadly, that wins a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, we had the case down here with Bob Stevenson and Trevor Lee, and Trevor Lee had that bad thing happen back in college, and they smeared him with that from one side to the other, and it won. It won. Bad publicity won,
Yeah.
and kicked him out. Now we got a
Well, and it's
Not so
false
good person
information
there.
and false narratives that
and it wins.
His current nefarious behavior versus something that happened a long time ago, and that didn't seem to matter.
see. And in the police world, we look at people that are changing their behavior and not continuing to have that bad behavior. If you change it and you're doing better, good job, man.
Good job.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And I got into this job. That was my one goal, getting into law enforcement. I was like, if I can change one person's life so that they quit doing whatever it is that they're doing that's degrading their life, and then they in turn change somebody else's life for the same, and they become active members of the community and society and being a decent human being, I feel like I've done my
your
job.
job.
And that's just, I was hoping to do that to one person. And so far I've been able to do that for a lot of people, because I didn't know the amount of impact that I would have on people's lives just being a law enforcement officer. Not just my friends' lives or, my family's lives, but complete strangers that look up to us for guidance and hey, how should I handle this situation? Because we don't get called when somebody's doing okay. We get called when somebody's having the worst day of their lives. And we show up, and we're not therapists, but we're problem solvers. And let's figure this out, and let's figure out a different avenue. One.
So did the wife and kids get on the campaign trail with you?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
How'd they do with the spotlight?
So they're very uncomfortable with spotlight. I don't like it either. They understand I'm very passionate about this and what changes need to happen and occur. And yeah, they supported me.
Are your older kids still up in the county, or are they out of county now?
They're all in the county.
They're all stayed home then?
Yep, they're all in the county.
You have grandkids yet?
I have two. I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, both
Sweet.
boys. And
It's the best.
yeah, it's chaos.
It's fun chaos though.
Yeah, it is, and they're at the point now where they're starting to pick at each other and just rile the other one up. But
You're
it's
still old enough to be a grandpa.
no, because to me, I picture a grandpa as somebody that walks around and they've got a cane and they're wearing an overcoat and a feather in their hat. That's you know what I'm talking about? Those old hats, and they had the old hats. They had the feather, and that's what I picture. I don't feel I'm old enough to be a grandpa. I'm
Like
49.
for me, I'm not a grandpa yet.
Yeah.
She's been a grandma a long time ago.
Got 11.
11.
Yeah.
I bet that's chaos. It's fun chaos. Though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's a lot of love.
Yeah. It's fun. I enjoy it. I went out yesterday. They were in the backyard in the pool when I woke up, because I work graves, and so I woke up at about 2:30, and I could hear them out in the pool playing, and so I just woke up, threw my swimsuit on, went out, did a front flip into the pool, and that woke me right up. And yeah, I don't think they're ever going to forget that moment, because they're like, Grandpa did a front flip.
I wouldn't even know how to do that. So
You just tuck and roll.
tuck it roll.
Yeah.
Well, lucky for you, this podcast is going to get out there. We're going to throw out a whole bunch of clips. So as much as they're pushing this negative stuff out on Facebook, we'll give you enough admonition that
No, I appreciate
if
it.
your family and friends get active, they can post this to their heart's delight.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll have a bunch of shorts going out. So if your friends or family with them, you'll take our little 2 or 3 minute shorts that we'll put out all next week and just plaster it everywhere. Then you can just drown out
Yep.
the fake stuff that's up on Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm like, man, why do we need social media? 'Cause there's so much fake, but social media for the good. Absolutely.
TV and radio has the power of TV and radio has diminished significantly. Social media's taken over everything. So if you don't dominate social media, then you're not dominating anything anymore.
Yep.
That's just the way the world is. And so the funny thing is you should take one of our clips that we'll post out, and you go find the negative clips and just start attaching it in the link in their descriptions, comment section, just plaster it, and they'll enjoy that.
See, my kids have to show me how to do all this stuff because I'm like, I don't know how.
You just tell them, say, hey, I want you to find every negative ad and put this link in the comment section, every single one of them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll be easy enough. Yeah. Yeah.
It drowns it out. Problem solved.
Sweet.
All right.
Well, I appreciate it.
Glad having you on here.
Yeah.
Glad that things are doing better.
Yeah.
That experience is getting better. I know it's going to be tough when you hit that year mark. It's going to be tough for your family, their families. All that's just going to come flooding back. So
luckily, we've got each other to lean on, and Lynette and Brittany, we're all family, and that's what they've said. It's, whether we like it or not, we're all family at this point, and we have each other to lean on, and
I know the Lord will uphold you guys and strengthen you.
And the support in the community is just amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
Have they done any monument or anything to the officers at all? Or
so I know Tremont put up a new monument in their square, their town square. I don't know if there's plans for one. That's a good question. I know that I've asked my admin to do some things for everybody that was involved that night. It doesn't matter what part you played in it. If you did something, if you were part of peer support and you went and you helped others that were struggling, I said everybody needs to be recognized, because this is something that nobody's ever going to forget, and the people that were involved need to be recognized for what they did, because even their smallest little part played.
When's your Tremonton days?
So that's coming. That's the county fair is kind of when Tremonton Days is, and that's the same week of the anniversary date, because this happened on August 17th, and the county fair started the next Monday, which was the 18th. Wow. So I'm hoping every year there's going to be something for Lee and Eric at the fair moving forward every single year. So,
well, you've got our support. So when that year mark hits, we'll be thinking about you up there. We may even come up to you guys' rodeo and say hi.
Yeah, come up, say hi.
Rodeos are always a lot of fun to come see.
Yeah, get a hold of me and I'll take you around, and I'll show you what the fair is all about.
Yeah, as long as it's good rodeo. I love good rodeo.
Oh, it's good rodeo. Yeah,
I love a good rodeo.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hope everybody liked the episode this week. Again, like, subscribe, and share. Help us get prolific out there. Get us past the YouTube suppression. T-shirts at the bottom. Support the channel. Buy the T-shirts. See everybody on the next video.